What's happening, guys? This is RRPG here, and I'm here to present another 2 cents video on the 2 cents block to you all. I know it has been quite a long time since I have done a 2 cents video, but I'm sorry, I have to make this, because this particular game that this publisher put out left me completely disgusted, as well as very appalled that they continue to release games really fast without any care for the quality in their own products outside of the biggest moneymakers in their business. Looking at the title of this video, you know that my criticisms are toward Activision on this subject, because their constant practice in rushing games out in the market has been a serious sin to them when HD gaming became a thing almost a decade ago. This game that Activision released should have been another sign to how completely greedy that they have become because of them being infatuated with the almighty dollar, as anything good or bad only makes them want to get their profits back and nothing else. Before I get started with this, I want to make a few disclaimers first. Those games that the developers work on are not the main focus of my discontent when it comes to Activision themselves. I respect those who work very hard and try to put out a very decent product with their own games, as they want to satisfy their consumers with releasing games that have good value. Whether it be a developer like Beanox, High Moon Studios, Radical Entertainment, Raven Software, Sierra Entertainment, Treyarch, or even Vicarious Visions. These are people within video game development studios who try and make a great game in this day and age, as they suffer with a very tight development schedule because of Activision's rush to get their money back. When it comes to this independent studio they hire to make games for them, it is even more of a cardinal sin, as their own games are rushed, much like all of Activision's other titles. When compared to the other developers, they are the only ones who manage to make their games perform well without them being broken, as I still have high regards to their portfolio. However, when it comes to this particular game, my main gripes toward it pretty much came down to the lack of nothing new, features that fans wanted, but they never gave because of a short budget along with time constraints from Activision, and unleashing what could possibly be a complete and utter slap in the face toward fans of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles franchise. There are other gripes I have here and there, but I will get on with them as I go along. Second disclaimer. This video is also not targeted to those who actually like some of Activision's games, such as the Call of Duty franchise, or even Skylanders, which are currently their biggest moneymakers, like I mentioned. If you like those games for what they are, then that is fine, as you are in your right to enjoy them. I have family members who like both Call of Duty and Skylanders, but they are not my cup of tea, as one of them is overrated, the other forces you to buy figurines only to play those specific games that aren't accessible in the series' back catalog or any other of Activision's own properties, and the fact that they are both milked on a yearly basis. Like I said, if you like them as is, then that's okay, and I respect that. Third and final disclaimer. If any of you defend Activision for this type of thing, or damage control their constant need to rush games out on a yearly basis, I'm sorry, but you are out of your damn mind if you do. It is literally impossible to damage control and or defend them for what they do as a publisher. When you have its current chairman and CEO, Bobby Kotick, come out in 2009 and claim that video games only reward profit and nothing else, whether that nothing else be for the fun factor or even the value of the product, there is no defending them for that kind of thing, because you don't realize how bad they have become during the HD generation of gaming. Stuff such as rushing their games out to retail, releasing some of them that are broken and unplayable, not evolving their games when it comes to things like gameplay mechanics or having dedicated servers for ones that are a must for online multiplayer, or even charging for unnecessary DLC are things with what makes this company a complete joke. Most of the stuff about their other products are not in relation to this category, as it is mostly toward this one game where I say enough is enough from Activision, as I'll get on with that in this 2 cents video. So here we go. When you heard me mention Activision and the license for the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you probably realized that I was going to talk about the newest game called Mutants in Manhattan, that was developed by Platinum Games, one of my favorite developers of this generation. Games like Bayonetta 1 and 2, Mad World, Vanquish, Metal Gear Rising, The Wonderful 101, and others that I talked about with a great passion are why I respect this developer, because they get with the times and they understand how to put out a great product when they are given plenty of time and effort to release a game that will ensure so much value in the long run. Companies such as Nintendo, Sega, Square Enix, Konami, and even Microsoft have asked for their assistance to make a great game, and they have about 85% of the time they've been around. When it comes to Activision, I have been dreaded in fear for them being hired to make some games for them right now. The only games we have seen being developed by Platinum Games are The Legend of Korra for the consoles, as the 3DS version was a completely different game and developed by WayForward Technologies, another fantastic developer I cherish, Transformers Devastation, and this new one that is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutants in Manhattan. For The Legend of Korra, I think that game is sort of a hit and miss because it was a bare-bones game that was very light on action and very short. The only positives were that it was in 60 frames per second and charged at a very inexpensive rate because of it being only a downloadable game worthy of that purchase. Everything else about it was average, but passable because of having a great frame rate and at a decent price of $15 when it first released. Transformers Devastation was a huge surprise, and probably Platinum Games' best work when it comes to Activision's own properties. It was based on one of the storylines for the Generation 1 Transformers in the IDW comics, highly respectable with the fan service for those who enjoyed the 1984 cartoon, because most of the cast from the original show reprised their roles for their respective characters, such as Peter Cullen as Optimus Prime, Frank Welker as Megatron, and Greg Berger as Grimlock, and the game having very unique mechanics that made it be deemed worthy of Platinum Games' own game design philosophies. I still own that game because it is the only game under the Activision brand that has a good chunk of polish to the product, and it is still awesome to play to this very day. Now with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutants in Manhattan. Oh my god. When I heard about a new TMNT game being developed by Platinum Games was happening, I was amongst the many people who shat their pants with excitement, because it seemed that the curse of bad TMNT games was going to stop at some point, as many of us who enjoyed Turtles in Time on the Super Nintendo were waiting for another great game, even in this era of high-definition gaming. However, it seems that it was not meant to be, as Mutants in Manhattan, from a gameplay and technical perspective, is an utter slap in the face to fans of the Ninja Turtles and a complete disgrace to the entire franchise. You're gonna tell me that you have no problem with this, Activision. You have no problem with allowing Platinum Games to work on a brand new game based on the TMNT property in hopes that they can make a good quality game after the recent success with Transformers Devastation. But what you do is give them a very short budget, a small amount of time to work on it, and leave out so many things we wanted to see in the game, as what you made them release was a shitty bare-bones action game that includes only an online mode for the multiplayer, charged as a full-price game, and making the game run at a locked frame rate of only 30 frames per second on both consoles and PCs. Are you that goddamn serious, Activision? Stuff that most of us wanted to see as an evolution to the gameplay of TMNT, being in the vein of a hack-and-slash action game like Bayonetta and Metal Gear Rising, and having very fun gameplay mechanics that made the game be deemed original and not just another carbon copy of Turtles in Time, was something that we have wanted to see since 3D gaming has become more mainstream. Stuff like originality, fun, fast-paced action, and great value are things that we wanted to see Platinum Games make for this brand new Ninja Turtles game. But what do, Activision? You made them release a game to coincide with the new movie that is coming out, and it became nothing but a huge, steaming pile of horse shit. That's what you give us. Really? That is how you're going to view the TMNT license and that particular fanbase, Activision? While some of them are legacy fans who wish for great games since they actually worked back in the old days, but most others are young and fresh who want a great experience when it comes to the property in video game form. However, you see them as the laughingstock because you only consider your other properties outside of your biggest moneymakers as piecemeal garbage because you only consider making profit on what you see as more popular without any regard in quality, as you care about quantity and rushing your products out every year so that you can try and stay relevant in this day and age when you already see that your business philosophy is already being considered a fucking fail. I'm sorry, Activision, but I'm not buying into your goddamn beliefs anymore. I'm getting sick and tired of your constant need to rush your games out the door. I'm getting sick and tired of you regarding the TMNT property as a complete joke. Whether you only care about two properties that make you the most money while you treat the others like complete shit, it does not matter. Every time I hear about a game coming from you that I want to play and possibly enjoy, I turn my head and see that they are getting so much flack because of what you have been doing with rushing them out to the market out of obligation promotion or to make them meet a deadline before something big comes out like a movie, and I am sick of it. I am fucking sick of it. You have not learned jack shit about why game development takes much more time for any game than just a select few that you only care about. While we're on this subject, let's talk about the faults that are done for Mutants in Manhattan. First of all, the frame rate. You're gonna sit there and tell me that locking the frame rate at 30 frames per second for both consoles and PCs is justifiable? Granted, this is not the first time that Platinum Games has ever released a game that was at 30 frames per second, as Mad World, Vanquish, and Anarchy Reigns were the only three that had a locked frame rate of 30 frames per second before Mutants in Manhattan. However, what made games like Mad World and Vanquish stand out were their originality when it came to a 3D beat-em-up and a fast-paced third-person shooter that some felt dethroned Gears of War because of it having that high level of polish to the product. We can all agree that Anarchy Reigns is probably one of the weakest games that Platinum Games has put out by far, as it didn't capture the magic or charm that Mad World delivered. When a game like Mutants in Manhattan is mostly done as a 3D hack-and-slash action game, you would think that Platinum Games' top priority is to make the game run at a smooth and stable 60 frames per second on both consoles and PCs, right? They did that for both The Legend of Korra and Transformers Devastation, but why not something brand new like this game? Well, according to the producer of the game named Robert Conkey, no, not that Conkey, but this guy from Kinda Funny Games stated that they did achieve the game at 60 frames per second by omitting local co-op play. Excuse me, but do you not know the difference between 30 frames per second and 60 frames per second? 30 frames per second is what you have going in motion for Mutants in Manhattan. A game like Transformers Devastation is running at 60 frames per second. This game is not 60 frames per second. And don't tell me that you couldn't do local co-op, as that has been a staple in TMNT games in the past that has worked really well in the present. You guys want to know why they actually omitted local co-op play? It wasn't because that it wasn't achievable, as it most certainly could have been. It was because Platinum Games was forced to release this game to coincide with the brand new movie that is releasing this Friday. Why in the holy hell would you want to release this game to coincide with the movie when this game is not a movie-based tie-in? What were you thinking, Activision? On top of which, why would you release the game at $40 for the PS3, Xbox 360, and PC, while releasing it at $50 for both the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One? What's even worse is that the PC version suffers worse in its performance from what I heard. The game takes roughly 4 hours to complete, just like TMNT Danger of the Use by WayForward Technologies, as that was also overpriced. I seriously don't know what Activision was thinking with wanting to put this game out right around the time when the new movie is about to release in theaters. Did a game like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 5 on most platforms and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadows on PS3, 360, and PC being both broken messes not give you a shred of a wake-up call? Granted, Mutants in Manhattan is not broken, but giving us a bare-bones action game with repetitious level design, a generic story that follows the same cookie-cutter formula that all other TMNT games as of recent have followed, and a short campaign that hardly qualifies a budget price, along with not tying into the release of the movie, should not have happened, as this should have been delayed toward the end of summer or sometime next year to make a much more decent experience. The only positives I got out of the whole deal were the visuals in the character design and the boss fights. Even so, people are already bitching about those aspects because of two reasons. One, the way how the visuals are not up to par with great level design, and two, the boss fights get very brutal when the AI on the other turtles gets the best of them, as well as the difficulty being very unbalanced. Whatever. Even though this game is extremely flawed in many areas, it didn't mean I didn't have fun with the game, as there are good merits like the ones I mentioned. However, when coming from Platinum Games, those merits are not enough, as they aren't truly up to their standards. For those of you who are wondering whether you should get this game or not, don't buy it. At its current price, it is not a great value for that kind of thing, as a price of $10 or even $15 is more justifiable than $40 or even $50 as of right now. This is not the old days where games became more quick to finish, as the times are now different and not the same as they were when you were in the gaming scene during the days of Atari Activision. You will all be wasting your money on this product, as it will rip you off any way, shape, or form, as Activision made Platinum Games look terrible for putting out another rushed game when their portfolio is at high tier and which should not be taken lightly, especially when both Nier Automata from Square Enix and Scalebound from Microsoft are coming out right around the corner. That is it. Activision. I really don't know what else to say. You fucked up with making Platinum Games release Mutants in Manhattan as is. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about that, Activision. You fucked up bad. Really bad. Get your shit together. My patience with you has been running so goddamn thin. I don't know how it is you keep wooing people with Call of Duty and Skylanders every year with not knowing that sales for each installment becomes far less than the last one. You have so many other properties that have just as much potential to become a high-quality success than milking your cash cows while shatting on the little guys. You are being a huge disgrace to not only gamers, but also fans towards some of those licenses you have to make games on. Get your shit together. Your competitors like Electronic Arts, Ubisoft, WB Interactive, Take-Two Games, and many others realize how much time and effort it takes to put out a game, as Electronic Arts realized this when BioWare's games like Dragon Age 2 and Mass Effect 3 released to underwhelming results. You see why new games like Dragon Age Inquisition performed much better, and why Mass Effect Andromeda not being taken lightly by that company? It's because they know that games of a huge scope like those take so much time and effort to make their experiences more profound than the abysmal route that EA took at the beginning of this decade. Same thing for Ubisoft, as they are not releasing an Assassin's Creed game this year. Take-Two also realizes this, as they don't milk Grand Theft Auto games every year, as it takes so much planning and development to make them release to great results. Development takes so much precious time, and not so little time, as Platinum Games truly knows this. Get your shit together. These actions you have taken is why more and more people are talking bad about you on a yearly basis, and why they actually see you as the current apple that fell way off the tree. You are the true definition of worst video game company ever because of what you have been doing with feeling like you can get a free pass because of releasing Call of Duty and Skylanders every year with more dwindling sales, as your own hubris is going to get the best of you, even if you realize this at the last minute. Get your shit together. Lastly, and most of all, to quote my friend Zen Gamer, cut the bull! Alright guys, that's all I have to say about this. So let me know your thoughts about TMNT Mutants in Manhattan if you played it. Do you share my same discontent about Activision rushing this game out for the wrong reason, or do you like the game for what it is? If you like the game for what it is, then let me know why. Be sure to rate this video as well as leaving your feedback down in the comments. Also be sure to hit that subscribe button underneath this video, as more support from you guys will mean that more content is coming from me in the future that you won't find anywhere else. This is Double RPG signing off, and I'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching. Fucking bullshit, man.